explaining the movie Grave Encounters. Warning, spoilers ahead. The movie opens with Jerry Hartfield, a TV producer, describing Grave Encounters, a paranormal reality TV show. The show is hosted and directed by Lance Preston, a paranormal investigator. Unfortunately, the show was canceled after just 5 episodes. Jerry states that what is about to be seen is not a movie. It is raw footage taken from the 6th and 7th final episodes of the show. The footage was edited, but only because it is long enough for 76 hours, so they have to cut the expendable parts. They assembled videos that truly show what really happened. The crew of Grave Encounters consists of the paranormal investigator Lance, occult specialist Sasha Parker, surveillance operator Matt White, cameraman T.C. Gibson, and fake medium Houston Gray. The crew will investigate the abandoned Collingwood Psychiatric Hospital, which accommodated around 80,000 mentally ill patients from 1895 to 1960. The crew learns more information about the hospital from the town historian. The institution was built in 1893 when mental illness was still a taboo subject. Because of that, the hospital was not a place that helped disturbed individuals, but rather a place to get rid of them quickly. The head doctor, Arthur Friedkin, and the staff were brutal towards the patients. They treated them inhumanely. Arthur was a graduate of Harvard. He specialized in neurology. He was known for performing unethical experiments on patients and more than 40 lobotomies. Arthur was attacked by 6 patients who took his life and successfully escaped from the hospital. The conditions of the hospital were awful. Patients did not even have blankets, clothes, or food. The crew meets with the hospital caretaker, Kenny. When they reach the hospital door, the camera captures a sign, "Death awaits." Kenny unchains the door and guides the crew around the hospital. He shows them especially the notorious and scary rooms. They approach the windows, and Kenny says he locks the windows every night, but every morning when he returns, he finds them open. After, they go to see a patient's room. There are many disturbing words written on the walls. They suspect that the patient was held in the room for a long period of time. Kenny then shows them the bathroom. The bathtubs are scattered all around the place. Kenny informs the crew that there was a little girl who cut her wrist in the bathtub. The last place Kenny takes them is the service tunnel which connects all the buildings. Before the investigation starts, Lance questions 3 more people: the former contractor, the gardener, and a goth couple who hang around in the hospital. Voluntarily, the crew locks themselves in the hospital and Kenny helps them chain the main door so they can't go out. They set the cameras in the hallway and in every room. Their camp is at the main entrance of the hospital. In the first few hours, nothing happens, no paranormal activities. But suddenly, a wheelchair moves by itself near TC, who is walking around the hospital. TC does not notice this activity. He's on the phone with his family. Very soon, he notices the door behind him slam by itself. TC at once informs the crew about the paranormal activity. They stated there is no draft in the room that could have been the reason for this incident. Lance and the others decide to establish contact with the supernatural entities that haunt the hospital. This action caused an entity to throw over a hospital bed. They start to hear footsteps upstairs. On the radio, Lance contacts Matt to see if someone is there. Matt tells him that no one is upstairs. Lance decides to check the floor. Sasha with the EVP, a paranormal haunting device, to capture noises and sounds a human being cannot hear. At that moment, a poltergeist grabs Sasha by her hair. Everyone freaks out. Sasha is terrified and wants to leave the hospital. Lance calms Sasha down and mentions that this is the first time they're finally at a real haunted place. This will bring them fame and many TV contracts. The medium Houston takes Sasha to the main entrance where their camp is. Lance and the others try again to make contact with the entity, asking it to reveal itself. But whatever touched Sasha's hair is gone now. This makes Lance angry because he believed he will capture more spooky footage of the paranormal activity. The crew leaves the hallway to return to the camp, but they get lost. Lance calls Matt again for directions because he is the one who is watching them on camera. Lance receives no response. They have no choice but to wander around the building. Somehow they find their way to the camp. They have 1 hour before Kenny returns to unlock the door. The crew is packing their things. Matt is retrieving the static cameras placed around the hospital. He notices that the window is open and hears noises. Matt tries to communicate with the crew, but no one can hear him. He decides to follow the noise and disappears. The crew is worried about Matt and believes he is in danger. They have to find him. Houston stays in the camp with the equipment. Not that far away, they find Matt's equipment scattered on the floor. Lance and Sasha go in one direction to find Matt, and TC goes in another. While TC is walking, an invisible force pushes him to the stairs. Lance and Sasha are nearby and can hear the noise. They hear TC screaming and immediately help him. All of them go back to the camp. The pressure arises because the invisible force gets more violent. Lance calls Kenny but realizes he has no signal. TC has enough, so he takes the hospital bed and tries to tear down the front door. Lance does not like this because they can be sued for damaging the hospital's property. TC is angry. He can't take it anymore because Kenny is 1 hour late. Finally, Lance agrees to help TC break down the front door. To their surprise, they find out the front door leads to another hallway. This frightens them even more. However, they do not want to be locked inside the haunted hospital anymore. They want out. They find more so-called exit doors that always lead to another hallway. They are trapped and can't leave this place. It is 8 a.m., but it is still night outside, which is strange. Unfortunately, they have no choice but to return to the camp near the main entrance. They all lie down on the floor and try to think of a way to escape the haunted hospital. While they are on the floor, a poltergeist breaks the light into small pieces. The only light that remained is from the flashlight and the cameras. Lance shows that they have worms in their food, which was fresh and should last for days. Luckily, they have water to drink while they are trapped. TC remembers he saw a fire escape outside before their investigation began. His proposition is to go to the roof. That way they can leave the building. They all agree and leave for the roof. They approached the access to the roof, but it is blocked by a wall. This makes them more nervous. Sasha is crying when she realizes there is no way out. The tension between the crew is high because they are scared, worried, terrified, and want to leave this haunted hospital. They are searching for the exit and hear something. It is Matt. He is screaming. They follow his voice to a room, but he is not there. Instead, there is an invisible force moving the hospital bed, preparing to throw the bed at them. They quickly escape the room and, thankfully, the invisible force does not follow them. The crew is tired and rests for a little bit. When they wake up, they see scratches on Sasha's back. The entity again attacked them and scratched the word hello on Sasha's back. They try to calm Sasha down. Somehow, Lance contacts Matt through the walkie-talkie, but soon loses any contact with him. The crew continues to find the way out. Shortly, the crew encounters a patient in a hospital gown. She is in her underwear in the corner of the room. She turns around and her face demonically distorts. The crew is completely terrified and starts to run away from there. They lock themselves in a room, but Houston is separated from them. He roams alone in the hospital hallway, looking for the crew in pure darkness. Suddenly, he gets attacked by the invisible force, which throws him to the end of the hallway. He hits his head and loses his life. After they had been hiding in the room for a couple of hours, they discover hospital tags with their names on their wrists. It's almost as if they had been admitted to the psychiatric hospital, and now they are the patients. They're in a panic, but quickly calm themselves because 2 of their men are missing and they have to find an exit. While roaming the hallways, an arm shatters through the window and grabs Sasha's neck. Lance successfully removes the hand and frees Sasha. She has trouble breathing, but calms down quickly. Eventually, the crew finds Matt, who is in a hospital gown. He is insane. The crew tries to talk to him, but Matt is talking nonsense. Matt is mumbling the only way to escape the haunted hospital is when they get better. The invisible forces continue to go after the crew throughout the building, using illusions like huge arms coming out of the walls. A bloody ghost pulls TC to a bathtub full of blood. The crew turns the bathtub over. TC is gone. They're all hysterical. Lance discovers an elevator but cannot open the door. He leaves Matt and Sasha so he can find something to open the door. He pulls a bar off of a hospital cart. Lance also noticed something strange in the corner. There was a bloody tongue. He goes to the elevator and finally opens the door. Moments later, a demon without a tongue attacks Lance and Sasha. They're fighting to stay alive, but Matt has other things on his mind. He starts recording himself with a camera. He's laughing like a maniac before he falls down the elevator shaft. Lance and Sasha are sad about Matt and mourn him. They enter a tunnel to look for an exit. They're walking and remember that the tunnel connects all the buildings. Lance and Sasha are lost. The tunnel becomes a maze and they are trapped. Overwhelmed by emotions, Lance and Sasha fall asleep. Sasha is sick. While they are sleeping, a mysterious mist comes out of the blue. Lance wakes up and finds out Sasha has disappeared. He is scared and tries to find her. Lance is in despair and realizes there is no point. Nevertheless, he continues walking through the tunnel. On his way, he is eating rats to survive. The horror of the incidents slowly starts to eat him up, making him insane. He walks through the tunnel and finds a door that leads to the operating room. In the operating room are an altar and a pentagram for demonic rituals. He roams the room and sees an illusion of Dr. Arthur and his staff. The doctor used black magic to operate on his patients. The nurses scream and drag Lance onto the operating table. The camera blacks out. In the next scene, we see Lance lobotomized. Lance announces that he is now free to go home. Because he is cured, he is feeling better. In the end, he gives a few last words to the audience before the screen turns blue.